Okay, so what we have here are two sets of staff lines, and each staff line has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, and 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. Now, with that being said, we also have 3 different clefs that we use in orchestra. We have the treble clef, also known as the G clef, the bass clef, also known as the F clef, and then of course the alto clef. Some of y'all don't know about the alto clef because it mainly pertains to the violas in this particular section. And this is also called the C clef. Now what's interesting about these 3 clefs is that not only do they tell you what instrument you're probably going to play, for example, treble clef are the violins, bass clef going to be the cellos and basses, and the C clef is going to be, or alto clef is for the violas, but they're also called G clef, F clef, and C clef because they tell you what note to start the alphabetical order for the staff lines. And this is what I'm talking about. So the treble clef makes a little target sign, if you can imagine it, right over the G line. Now this is only in particular to the treble clef. Imagine that on this second line, this is making a target sign. All right, and if you take it out of context, this funky looking treble clef, if you take out the little straight line, looks like a fancy G. Now that second line is G. Now for the bass clef, it's also called F clef because it actually tells you where F is based on this its staff. So if you take this into context and actually connect those 2 dots to the rest of it, it looks like a really fancy F. And between these 2 dots is the F line. Now notice so far we're having a trend here. Each clef at this point is showing you where a certain pitch is based on the design that it has, and it's showing you on a line, not a space. Then finally we have the alto clef. The alto clef, also known as C clef, is making a direct point to this middle line here. This is where C starts for the C clef. And if we're going to pay attention to what these particular pitches are, based on the line that it is, whether the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth line, and I'll help you number them here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we have the spaces later on, 1, 2, 3, 4. So moving on, we're going to look at the treble clef. The treble clef has G as the second line. So I'm going to draw a circle right over the second line. And the reason why I'm doing that, we call this the note head. That's our pitch for G. So I'm going to draw or write the letter G in the space below that. Now, much like a ladder, it's going to go up in pitch as you go higher up on the staff and lower in pitch when you go backwards. Now in music, we go forward in the alphabet to go higher in pitch. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Or if I sang it, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And if you want to go lower in pitch, we go backwards in the alphabet. And we just repeat those 7 letters. Now the 7 letters are A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Those are the only letters we use in the musical alphabet. And then we repeat it again if we want to continue to go higher. A, B, and so on, or we go backwards, G, F, E, D. Now I remember this is a funky looking G, which is why I didn't write the actual G. Makes sense? Okay, so we're going to continue on with the treble clef pitches, and I'm going to draw a little bar line here between the clefs right now, so that way we don't get too confused. All right, so we're going to want to go higher in pitch. We're going to draw the next note head, A, because remember we're going to go higher, and that's going to be on the space. Now we alternate line, space, to go up the ladder or the steps. So we're going to go higher in pitch. Third line is now B. Third space, C. fourth line, D, fourth space, E, and the top space is F. If you go backwards, before G is F, and then the end of the first space, E. Now let's look at the bass clef pitches. The bass clef pitches, of course, remember we're going to start from the fourth line. So the fourth line we know already as F. Okay? Now we're going to go forward in the alphabet. The next one has to be G. Then finally the top line is A. Let's go backwards. We're going to go backwards in the alphabet. So we have E in the third space. Third line is D. Second space is C. You guys can see that. Second line is B. First space is A. And then the first line is actually going to be G. All right, and those are the pitches just for the bass clef. This is very important. You got to remember the clef that you read depending on what instrument you play. All right, and then finally we're going to do the alto clef. We have the pitches starting from the third line. So I'm going to draw a circle here, and we know that this is the C clef. That third line is always going to start with C. Okay? Now let's draw a note head going up in the pitch. In the space, we have D, line, E, fourth space, F, top line is going to be G. Let's go backwards. Second space, before C is B, second line, A, first space, G, we got to start it over, and then the last line, or the first line, I'm going to draw a little arrow down here, is F. So that's how we start only the alto clef pitches. Here in the middle, bass clef pitches, and the very beginning we have the treble clef pitches. Now they're all kind of scrunched up, but that's how it works. Again, everything is in alphabetical order. Higher in pitch, we're going to go forward in the alphabet. Lower in pitch, we're going to go backwards in the alphabet, and we're going to continue using the same 7 letters in order based on where they are on the line or space for their clef.